Look at my hair. It's so pretty. I wanted to give a shout out to Allie at A Beautiful Reaction before I get going on this. And these earrings were inspired by me and made by Rachel Rissler, Peachy Coven. They're really cool. Embossed looking. They've got some gold leafing. I love them. I am making more commitments to myself. Commitments that are non-negotiable, such as, I hear my child out there, such as going to counseling consistently, because with PTSD it's important for me and my well-being to not just go to counseling when things are really hard, but to have the maintenance and the support all the time. I am realizing that because my trauma comes from bodily harm, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, that I will often neglect myself, my body, my needs, when I'm having a really hard time. So for me lately, I'm making sure that I'm staying in tune with my body, that I'm eating good food, nourishing my body, that I'm doing things like self-care, getting my hair done. And I've been soaking in a ton of information, which really isn't different than any other day. I'm constantly curious and learning, but it was like a ton of information Monday and Tuesday. So I just kind of like cleared my schedule today, letting it all soak in, doing some self-care, really letting everything that I learned soak in and my brain process this stuff. So another thing that I committed to is making reading a part of my morning routine. My morning routine looks like waking up, getting ready for the day. I will sit down and journal. In my journal, I write 4 gratitudes, 3 intentions for the day that I usually put little boxes next to, and 2 note cards that I will write. And I'll just kind of journal a little more if I want to. Some days I don't, so that's about all I leave it to. And anyways, so reading. I'm reading 10 pages a day, and not from the same book. I will go 10 pages in one book one day, 10 pages in another book. I probably have about 5 or 6 books that I'm currently reading right now. And it's been really cool to see how there is universal truth kind of coming into this funnel for me in my brain. And I'm able to make all these connections in my brain with all this information coming from all these different sources. And I'm seeing all of the consistencies of truth in them. And then what's really interesting is that I will just be having a conversation, or someone will feel like they need to tell me something, and it will be another piece that fills in this information. And that to me are signs from the divine that I am on the right path, that I am receiving the information that I need to receive at the time I'm supposed to receive it. So I'm realizing the more I wake up and the more that my mindset is changing, how heavy some things are. And I was reading a book this week by a financial therapist. She helps women repair their relationship with wealth, which interestingly enough, wealth means well-being, the root of it. And so when I was reading her book, I kept replacing wealth with well-being, and it was just blowing my mind. And I was also reading about power. What does power mean? What does it mean for women to have power? What does it mean for women to have power in the workforce? And there's so much ambivalence about power. There's a lot of misconceptions about what that word is, what it means. Women are afraid to be powerful because why? Well, I'll tell you from my personal experience. Anytime I've spoken up or, you know, I have a history with domestic violence. I've been with people who tried to beat that out of me. Historically, Boise, a Celtic warrior queen, and the Romans, there was a huge battle there. You can Google it, look it up, it's interesting. She eventually, you know, killed herself before they could get to her, but she was a powerful woman. You look at Joan of Arc even. The fact that they have statues up of her after they burned her at the stake was political to keep people from getting pissed off at the fact that they killed her. And the king that killed her was the same king that she helped him rise up to the throne. So, I mean, men physically can overpower us, but historically even there's all these tales and warning signs of women who've been powerful and made a difference and made waves who've been burned at the stake. They've been killed. However, you look at indigenous tribal cultures, even ancient, or cultures like ancient Vikings who revered women, and women had sacred places. Women had, in Viking culture, had the control over the money of the house because they were believed to be magic. And I'm finding information about, yes, we are magic. I know there's a lot of women out there who struggle because they have not been able to have their own children. But I'm finding that this ability to, you know, birth new ideas, creation, all these things that are mostly centered around physically bringing children here, we have that contribution every single day of our lives. We have the power of creation within our very souls. And so I see how we're constantly producing. We're constantly dying to ourselves and then giving birth to ourselves. Women are very powerful. So what does that mean? Power has an ambivalence to it because we have these negative connotations to it. And we think that if we're powerful, then we have to be controlling. We have to, you know, be domineering. And I think the misunderstanding about the word power is also something that causes a war between the sexes. Because, you know, men, a lot of men who are not enlightened, because to me a powerful man is the enlightened man, so men who are not enlightened see feminism as us wanting to control them, because historically that's what they've always done to us. And money has been a way that people have asserted control, and then the control has been associated with power, when really women in marriage, in life, in the workforce, we want to have power with men. We don't want to have power over men. And I also see this conflict that comes up in marriages. We have this ambivalence and this misunderstanding about what power even means. So the Latin root of power, and I'm hoping you can read this, is potere. I hope I'm saying that right. And it means to be able. It doesn't mean control. It's talking about our action, the ability to do something, to cause and create an effect. And that kind of blew my mind a little bit, because we already have the ability to act. But fear is stopping so many of us from action and keeping us in scarcity, because we have to dig out and fix this relationship that we have with money to go from a reliant child to a responsible adult, which I'm interested in because how our parents have taken care of us our whole lives. For me, I was married young. I've been married a few times, so the husband was always the one making the most money, and so it's also been an interesting shift for me as a woman to step up into the provider role. We have a large family. There are 10 of us total, and so for me to really get in and dig out all this stuff, these these bad relationships and connotations to money, to control, to power, to really step up into mine. And that's what I really did this week. I'm not apologizing anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it out loud unless I really need to apologize for something I did. But like, we apologize for existing all the time, especially as women. And it's got to stop. We have to stop apologizing for everything. I still am working on it. I write myself permission slips. I'll notice if I'm about to, paralyze myself with the what ifs or the fears of the day. I will sit down and say, I give myself permission to, and then I'll, finish that out. There are my journals, there are my notebooks. It's good for me to go back and read them. I'm thinking about compiling them maybe into a book by the time I have enough. But I really want to just put out there that you already have the ability to act, that your power comes from your choices that you're choosing, and that your wealth, if you're not making enough money if you're not making the money that you want to make, maybe take a look at how your relationship with yourself is. Focus on your well-being, because that's the root of wealth, the meaning of it. And I want you to write yourself a permission slip. I would love to see it. If you want to post it in your stories and tag me, that'd be great. If you don't want to share, that's totally fine. Let me know how I can support you. I am excited to help the horses who I can lead to water and want to drink. And just remember that you're just one social media post away from changing your entire life. So do not stop. Stay consistent in your action on social media. Show up, and your posts do not have to be perfect. Just get it done. Done is better than perfect.